Here's our boy Overlord. Let's see what he has to say.
Victor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I come to you today with a purported answer to the question we've all wondered. Did Kathleen Kennedy actually set out to destroy Star Wars?
Yes, she did. It was obviously too. And I've been saying so for about a year now.
While I have no personal knowledge of the situation myself, a source purporting to be inside Lucasfilm or Disney has reached out to me to present a fascinating take on the situation. Was Kennedy so full of resentment towards George Lucas that she wanted to smash his legacy, as some believe?
She might not have been resentful towards Lucas at all. She just has to be disgusted by low status male nerds, like most women are.
Or was the situation more subtle, more nuanced than that? The answer is, frankly, rather surprising if true. A kind of mind-blowing allegation that just makes you shake your head in a stunned way, similar
I doubt it's going to be nuanced, but we'll see.
to getting kicked in the head by a donkey and then immediately being asked to do algebra. Before I proceed, however, I want to make it clear that the information I'm about to present to you is information provided by a third party.
Okay, so you guys are reaching again, aren't you? This is Cope again. Overlord DVD or whatever his name is, he's just another Cope channel. Pure Cope.
Information which I have no way of independently verifying, so I must ask you to consider this as nothing more than unverified rumor and take it with a grain of salt. So here's the big question my agents posed to this source. Did Kathleen Kennedy set out with the purpose of destroying Star Wars? According to this source, the answer is no. Kennedy did not set out to destroy Star Wars at all, but she did mean to make it her own and to remake it in her own image.
Yeah, she's a feminist, and she made it to spit on the male fans, right? Because none of the females are in the Star Wars story, like Rey. There aren't a bunch of little girls rushing around to pick up her her little doll. They're still playing with Barbies. So I mean, obviously, feminism is a hate movement. And so her purpose as a feminist to make it her own is to hate the male fans, and that's it.
Source claims that Kennedy fully intended to make successful movies, but in the process, she would put her indelible stamp on everything George Lucas did in a way that boggles my mind for sheer audacity. So how was she planning?
Well, it only boggles your mind because you want to deal with the truth. There's nothing boggling about it. She's just a hateful woman, and she's destroying the franchise on purpose, despite the male fans. I have to say it over and over again.
To accomplish this source replied to that question with a what-if scenario.
Oh, really?
Quote, so in Kathy's perfect world, the sequel trilogy was a huge success, and she is now equal to George Lucas, and every movie she made would only add.
Well, it was a success, wasn't it? I mean, she wanted to do what, she planned on wrecking it and spitting on Luke Skywalker. She succeeded, didn't she? Why are you pretending that she gives a shit about making this a viable product? She's getting paid no matter what. She's in her 60s. She's at the end of her career anyway. She's retirement age. They're not even firing her. So what did she have to lose?
To her legendary status. Flush with success, Kennedy would slowly start hinting in interviews that all of Star Wars was really her idea, that George marginalized her, diminished her contributions, which are finally revealed through her enormous success. Kennedy would then do an Indiana Jones movie.
Well, that is the typical feminist mindset, right? She believes in the patriarchy. She believes men are holding her down. Her wings would burst out and she would fly, right? But some guy's always holding her down. So this actually all makes sense.
It would blow away the fans, cementing her as the best movie maker of all time. And that's when all of her interviews would be about how George and Stephen held her back because she was a woman. Of course, we all know this didn't happen, but that's pretty much the short version, unquote.
Why are you laughing? So she's actually in charge. She's not getting fired. She has destroyed Star Wars. And this is funny how. This is what I mean by this is a Cope channel.
Oh, this is mind-blowing, isn't it?
No.
If this rumor is true, it seems consistent with her previous pronouncements. The Force is female, for example. Toppling the patriarchy is...
Yeah, I saw that. That was over a year ago. I saw that image. So she was telling you guys back then that she was going to destroy this franchise. She was going to ruin it so the guys don't like it. And there isn't 1,000 million, female fans to replace the guys.
I suppose the end that justifies the means in the minds of intersectional feminists. And after all, isn't that what the Ministry of Truth
Congratulations, you finally said feminists, not SJWs. Thank you.
In 1984, retcon history, rewriting it for political ends and destroying all evidence to the contrary. This is a tried and true strategy.
Why do you say political ends? Like when the KKK put a burning cross on a black man's lawn, is that considered a political end?
For totalitarian regimes, and the idea of anyone trying to appropriate credit for George Lucas's work retroactively is extremely disturbing to me. I can absolutely understand.
I agree. I mean, because feminists are, a part of a hate movement, and they shouldn't be allowed to have any kind of political power or clout. They should be as marginalized as any other hate movement, like the Nazis or the KKK. So, I mean, really, if you want to see better days ahead, there's got to be actual political movement from starting, I would say, with the Star Wars fans. Say, look, we're grass movements here. We're trying to, actually get rid of these hate mongers. This goes beyond just the Star Wars movie and brand.
Kennedy did what she thought was best for the franchise. I mean, what executive ever sets out to make a flop and then take the blame for it? But the notion that subsequently Kennedy might try to spin things, that she was the genius behind Star Wars and Indiana Jones all along, is astonishing. If what this source has to say is true, it makes a certain amount of sense.
Not to me, it's not astonishing to me. It makes perfect sense.
That Gina Carano would be fired, and Jon Favreau's Mandalorian, the only real success Disney Star Wars has had with fans.
Don't give a shit about Carano. I don't know why you guys keep going on about Carano. She's nothing to this. As for Favreau, it's not surprising. He was probably making something that was male-friendly, that the male fans would like. So, of course, she stepped in and said, sorry, you can't do that.
Would have to be hobbled, if not eliminated, since this runs directly counter to Kennedy's alleged agenda, being the savior and true creator of Star Wars.
Also, the feminist gaslight. That's why she's saying what she's saying. She's just gaslighting you and getting off on it.
Honestly, I have a hard time believing this information. It seems insane and highly improbable that anyone would believe this spin, even if the Disney sequel trilogy had been a resounding success. But I suppose the capacity of Hollywood for self-delusion is boundless and strange.
Why are you blaming Hollywood? Unless you're saying that Hollywood is feminist. Why are you now derailing it? You know, you can't even hold a frame, Doomcock or whatever your name is.
Things have happened. Regarding Kennedy's fate at Disney, this source states, quote, "I can honestly say I have no idea. I don't think Disney is planning to keep her, and after the last month or two, what's odd is there's no rumors about this."
Yeah, but you have a video that says they are keeping her. So there you go.
No one seems to know. If she was going to get renewed, someone would have leaked it by now. Though thinking about it, there may be a reason why, if she's been renewed, she hasn't said anything or it hasn't leaked. It may be she's waiting till the 11th hour to announce that she's staying. That would be the ultimate fuck you to the fans and...
Yeah, but I'm sorry, you have a video where she is staying, and these guys up top, they're not firing her. Men pander to women. That's what. She's a woman, they're guys, they're going to keep her around. So, I mean, it is a fuck you to the fans, but it was a fuck you from the start, wasn't it?
If I'm honest, totally her style, unquote. Again, it's hard to know if any of these rumors have any basis in truth, but there is a certain consistency in all these rumors from various sources. After all, if Kennedy was convinced that her version of Star Wars would be the most successful version ever made, if only it wasn't for those damn kids, the instant phobe fans who rejected her amazing vision solely because they're haters and supporters of the dreaded and much ballyhooed patriarchy, kind of a throwback.
Yeah, it's feminist gaslighting. Yeah, of course. None of these rumors matter because we know what has happened in the past. We know that she had a bunch of young girls with the Forces female t-shirts. We know that she got a bunch of young women in there to write and work with her. We've seen the feminist drivel that is, The Last Jedi. You don't need rumors. This is nothing surprising.
Back to the man they used to gripe about in old movies like Shaft and Superfly, then it makes sense that she would hate the fans who rejected her. Problem is, of course, Gina Carano.
She hates the fans because she's a feminist and the fans are male. They didn't reject her. She wasn't trying to get on their side in the first place. At best, she was hoping maybe there was a bunch of young girls that are all feminists and saying, yeah, you did the greatest thing by shitting on all those male fans. And please, let's not, I'm tired of hearing about Carano. She's a non-entity. She means nothing.
Carano. That's why Gina had to go. Think about it. If Kennedy is blaming misogynist fans for standing in the way of her enormous success, trying to say that male fans simply hate strong women in films, then why was Gina Carano's Cara Dune the most beloved character in The Mandalorian? Her mere existence and popularity.
Who cares? Who cares? Because in the end, it's not someone's misunderstanding. Like, why do you guys always do this? Look, look how much these guys love this girl, right? So they're not misogynist. You don't even go down that trip. This isn't holding your frame. It doesn't matter. What's Gina Carano done? So she starred in The Mandalorian. The guys kind of like it. What's she going to do? Is she going to protest this or speak up for the male nerds? No. She's disgusted by them just like any other woman. Come on. Please stop bringing this woman up.
completely demolished that bogus narrative excuse. The Mandalorian's most popular character was a strong woman.
If you're gaslighting, it doesn't matter if your narrative is false. It doesn't matter. Kennedy isn't like embarrassed or humiliated. She's sitting back and saying, oh, those dummies finally found out I was gaslighting. But they can't even call it gaslighting. They're still begging. They're still begging, like, please, I'm not a misogynist.
And the show was made by a man. Horror of horrors. It must have been horribly galling for one who claimed that the Force is female and it's a new day at Star Wars to have that.
It's not galling. Favreau can't do anything. If he was making this, she just has to trample it. She's in charge. So what is this? This is a giant cope session from Overlord here and everyone who listens to him.
That excuse for the failure of the sequel trilogy dashed to bits and to be shown up by a man in the process? Hey, but that's showbiz, isn't it?
But she wasn't shown up. I mean, she wasn't shown up. He hasn't done shit. If he wanted to show her up, the Mandalorian would have gone on, and this Joan of Arc, Carano would still be hired and still be working. Come on, dude.
The idea that Star Wars fans are a bunch of toxic man-baby assholes who are impossible to please was ruined when Jon Favreau pleased.
Not really. Because the narrative isn't, it doesn't have to be upheld. The narrative is gaslighting. It doesn't matter. In the end, she has destroyed Star Wars. That was her point. That was her great vision, and she has succeeded.
Not only pleased them, but actually brought many of them to tears with the return of Luke Skywalker. We may not know if these rumors are true, but we can at least evaluate them for consistency and logic, and on that count, it's quite clear that something...
But that does none of that matters. These feminists, when they hate guys, that's the only thing they need to be consistent about. That's the logic behind it. We hate these guys and we're ruining their stuff, so they ruin the stuff. So none of this other stuff that you're talking about has to make sense in the context of what Kennedy wants to achieve. They make perfect sense. It all makes perfect sense. Part of the hate is the gaslighting and saying, here, this is the one you want. This is a Star Wars you wanted. This is a complete failure on the fans' parts and a complete achieved victory by Kathleen Kennedy, the feminist.
Is amiss at Lucasfilm. This source alleges that at least one rumor is true, claiming knowledge of multiple people who were in the room with Kathleen Kennedy when she stated regarding Star Wars, quote, "I will have this my way or burn this silliness to the ground," unquote.
Well, there you go. But like I said, I told you that from the start because I knew what a feminist was about. And so when she did this, I was like, yeah, made sense,
And she did not have her way when it came to the High Republic and Jon Favreau, if this source is to be believed.
What do you mean she didn't have her way? Star Wars is destroyed. She has her way.
The source states that the High Republic is yet another reason Kennedy is gunning for Favreau, not because the return of Luke Skywalker sabotaged the launch of the High Republic by sucking all the publicity oxygen out of the room, as previously claimed by other sources, but more because of what Favreau allegedly failed to do to support the project. This source states, quote, John had agreed that after the last episode of The Mandalorian, he was going to do an interview and put his support behind the High Republic, and he was going to release another behind the scenes of The Mandalorian Season 2, in which he was supposed to hint that the High Republic linked to the Mandalorian in some way, and he never did any of it. Kathy's team.
Wow. Wow. That's devastating. Hey, is Star Wars coming back? No. So this guy, he's just a go boy. He's a little servant. This is the equivalent of leaving a bag of shit at someone's doorstep and ringing it and lighting it, right? And then ringing the doorbell. In the end, it's meaningless.
Is just trying to find anything to put the blame on other than themselves. In a lot of ways, Hollywood seems a bit like high school if these reports are to be believed.
Again, why are you talking about high school for? Sorry, Hollywood. Why are you derailing it to Hollywood? Kathleen Kennedy is a feminist. Stay on point. It has nothing to do with Hollywood. This is like when people say Hollywood's full of degenerates and this horseshit.
Imagine the fate of a company hinging on the egos of certain powerful people. Yet another entry for Ripley's Believe It or Not. With Disney profits teetering and the company under financial pressure due to the coof impacting parks and travel, you'd think it would be...
Is this more go broke bullshit? Disney has all the money in the world. It's highly successful.
All hands on deck, with Disney actively protecting their most profitable shows from this kind of juvenile maneuvering. But I guess that's why it's called La La Land. In conclusion,
look, if Disney makes stuff for kids and it does well, and they're able to sell all kinds of toys, they can afford to let older guys, older males, they can afford to throw the shows that they like out the window. It's like a tax dodge or a tax break. What is it? A tax shelter, whatever. They're willing to let that arm die since they're making money in all other spheres. So they're laughing. They're letting Kennedy just trample all over this. They're having the times of their lives spitting on low status male. That's all a nerd is, a low status guy. So, I mean, they're letting Star Wars go because they don't need the money from it.
Source ended with this statement, quote, I'll add this. While it's not clear, at least from my knowledge, what John is going to do, like will he quit, will he strike back, or give in and just draw a check, I do...
How would he strike back? Kathleen Kennedy is above him. He can't do shit. That's why I call this a cope channel.
I know he is pissed about Gina, and I know they're going after more people to cancel. I can't talk about that at this time.
Cancel just means firing. Just say firing. Why do you get these stupid terms for a term we already have for it? She's the boss. She can fire whoever she likes.
But this is not over. This is just the beginning, unquote. So there you have it, my friends. The latest update from the front of the Lucasfilm Uncivil War. Again,
if Star Wars dies, I don't know what's going to happen to your channel. What are you going to be talking about? Because you've been beating a dead horse, all you guys. Beating a dead horse. Anyway, Star Wars is gone. I'm glad I was never a fan. Because I would be, pulling my hair out if I actually cared about Star Wars and watch you guys do nothing but posture